This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. After experiencing trauma, I went to therapy, and my therapist guided me through a difficult time in my life. They helped me understand what was happening and provided me with tools to cope and find my own strength and resilience. Their experience and compassion were invaluable and enabled me to rebuild my life and move forward. I strongly believe in the power of therapy to help people through difficult times. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. First, you go to their site. You can use my link, betterhelp.com/resilience. You answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you to a professional who has years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/resilience or choose podcast, then notes on resilience during sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month.
It's simple. It's not easy, right? It's simple. It's what's the story am I telling? Who am I thinking I'm going to be letting down? What were the expectations? All these different things go through your head compared to, especially if you're in business, this is what's expected of you. This is what's expected of me, for me to support you in this and this and this, and for you to do this, this, and this. And then if this doesn't work, then we have to part ways. If you don't have that in the beginning, then you need to sit down and have a conversation.
Hello, and welcome to Notes on Resilience. I'm your host, Manya Chilinsky. My guest today is Phil Agrios. He has spent over 30 years of research and working with thousands of individuals and uncovered a hidden self-sabotaging trait that we have that derails professional success and personal well-being. He has developed a method to work around that. I think you're really going to enjoy learning about what he does and how this relates to our workplaces and our professional lives. You're really going to enjoy this conversation. Bill, I'm so glad I could get you on the podcast today. Thanks for being here.
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Before we dive into the topic, I would like to know, what is one thing you have done that you never thought you'd do in any kind of area of your life?
I would have never thought I would write a book, be on podcasts, and take what I discovered 30 years ago and help thousands of people. Never even thought of it.
Okay. How does it feel to realize this wasn't even something you had on your radar screen, and now look at what you've done?
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's just letting the universe or God or your higher power or whatever you want to call it to guide you into where you need to be, and not to resist it, and find the benefit out of the good things, the bad things, the just is things, because that's all it is. There's no good or bad. It just is, right? So
Right.
if you just have enough trust within yourself and the trust in your higher power that you'll lead where you are, then a lot of your problems that you come about or the challenges won't come, or when they do come, they're there to evolve you.
You said a word I just talked about with another podcast guest, which is resist. And it can be difficult to know when to accept this change, or maybe not when to accept it, but how to accept it.
Yeah, remember, whether you're in resistance, you're stressed, you are worrying, or anything other than just being in the flow, just protecting yourself. That's it. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not an idiot or a loser, all the other 100 words we say to ourselves. You're just protecting yourself. And when you can figure out that protecting myself because of this is truly something to worry about and to deal with that immediately? Or is this just a story that I'm telling myself based on previous situations that say things happened to you in the past? Maybe different people are now in your present, but the situation is the same, and you feel that you are in danger where you really aren't, and you can kind of deal with it in a different way because you're not the same person that you were previously. You're a different person based on the experiences and the teachings and the coaching or whatever you've gone through. And what people do is they base their decisions on who they used to be, not on who they are.
I hear you. This resonates with me. This is work that I am also doing to investigate what is it that I'm afraid of and what is it that's blocking me from making decisions. We talk about fear and we talk about that part of us that's holding us back. How can we tie that into the topic that I think about a lot, which is resilience and compassion, both on a personal level and an organizational level? Why does it matter if I am holding myself back in terms of an organizational relationship that I might have?
In that situation, in that particular environment, many times you have to, or you think you have to, display yourself in one way, right? Depending on the organization. Is the organization very loose and they're having fun, or other ones are very strict in their being and everybody has to be ultra professional? When people have that ultra professionalism or they're very strict, there is no compassion. There is just getting to the bottom line and kind of forgetting people are people instead of just being type of a robot or a non-human, that they're only there and being paid for something, get it done, and I don't care how you feel. I understand this because I know people in the corporate world, and it's like that. It's deadlines that is just very almost impossible to meet, but you're expected to do that no matter how many hours you're working and how tired you are or how sick you are. Show up, get it done, or we'll replace you.
Right. I actually spoke to someone who said almost as exact same words, that the head of the company doesn't care. It's all about productivity. You could be a robot. They can't hire robots, so he hires people, but there's no level of compassion. And I find that curious that I would imagine that these people that we're talking about have some compassion in their lives for somebody in their life, yet there's that block that lets them express it.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. I would like to know the stats on the organization or the board that has no compassion, what the turnover rate is compared to someone that does have that compassion, that do put their employees first. A long time ago, I was told it's customers first, then the employees, then the bottom line. And I never believed that. So when I had my practice, it was always employees first, because if you don't put your employees first, they're not going to take care of your customers, which will not take care of your bottom line. So I was always a advocate, and I still am with my clients, is putting some type of pay where, as the business grows, that the employees get some compensation. Because, especially if you're a solopreneur or, a business owner that has a few employees or whatever, I mean, they're working their butts off, and then all of a sudden you're getting richer and they're seeing you getting a new car and all that, and they're just getting the same pay. What does that do? I mean, I remember when I was on disability, I lost my practice because I had to shut it down. I was on disability, and I sold my practice, and I had to work for this company in the beginning just to bring people over and making sure they were comfortable, my old patients. And during that time, I was able to get out of my disability and go back working. And I remember I was getting a percentage, and then going through my divorce and so many other things, I had to make sure that I had a particular amount, and I went on salary. And being the entrepreneur that I was and the go-getter, I found over a few months that I started to become complacent. I was like, This is so interesting. I've heard about this. It couldn't happen to me, and it was. And I asked to be put back on a percentage so I can make more, but also it enabled me to push and make a bigger impact instead of being on just a base salary.
Because you felt a connection to the mission and to the job that you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, whether I showed up or not, I still got paid the same amount, right? So, but as you push harder and you increase your value, then your value you should have an increase in your pay, right? Or different benefits or things like that. Maybe another week on vacation. Because a lot of times people are not looking for more pay. They're looking for other things, maybe more time off and things like that, right? But it's as the business grows, the employees should increase. And if the business drops and it's from the employees, that should drop as well. And it's really cool. You'll see that employees will get on other employees that are not doing the work, or they'll go, "Hey, you got to fire this one over here. They're not pulling their weight." So now they're coming to you and telling them to get rid of somebody, and they're checking it out because now it's affecting their bottom line.
Right. That's so interesting. What do you think we are missing in leadership development where we're not helping executives understand their own motivations and their own management style and their own blocks, etc.?
I think the only thing that's missing is the leader taking courses to become a leader serving, not a leader that is micromanaging. One of the things that I teach is that hire self-managing people and then measure them. Never manage anyone, measure them. It's managing by statistics, where now you're saying, these are your KPIs, this is your SOP, this is what we're expecting of you. And then if they don't perform, it's not like, it doesn't seem like you've been doing good no, you haven't reached this. What are you going to do to do it? And if they don't, two things are happening. Number one, they're just incapable, and they're not incapable, what I should say, they're not for that job, right? So letting them go gives them an opportunity to go to some place that they're better with, or they're just not pushing themselves and they need guidance or whatever the case may be. I have a client who she was having this salesperson that wasn't doing well. So as we were talking and she understood his sequence, the personality sequence that I discovered, I said, two things are going to happen. You got to do this, this, and this. If this doesn't work, then he's not working it, or two, this is not right for him. And when she did it, she realized he wasn't right. So she let him go and brought somebody in who was like 3 times as good as he, and their stats went up. When I was in practice, I had a hard time firing people. And I hired a management company when I first started to figure this out instead of trying to figure it out on my own. And they said, how is this front desk receptionist, how is it affecting your patients? I said, it's not good. How's it affecting you? Not good. How's it affecting her? I guess not good either. He says, what you're doing is when you are able to fire her, let her go, you're giving her an opportunity to find something that works best for her. She's not leaving because of the fear of not having the motivation to move forward. So you're not doing a detriment to her. You're actually creating a benefit for everybody. You're benefiting your patients who are not feeling that this is a right person for your culture. Number two, you're having stress because they're not doing the thing that they're doing. But now you're giving them an opportunity by you letting them go in order for them to find what works best for them and make them happier. And then from there, I never had a problem firing anybody.
Wow. Not how I've ever thought about firing someone
I
or
think it's a
letting someone
relationship,
go.
right? Firing a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, it's the same thing. Giving them the opportunity to find somebody that wants to deal with who they are, not that they're bad or not, but it's time to move on because you gained whatever you gain on a spiritual or physical or mental level from that person. And when you have all that resistance, it's time to disconnect and move forward because you've changed, they've changed, and now it's finding new experiences. And it's not that it's good or bad, it's just it's how it is.
Right. That can be really hard in certainly in personal relationships and in business relationships to, I guess, detach and to think this isn't the right opportunity for me. This isn't the right opportunity for them. I think it can be very hard for us to make those breaks, even when we know that they are moving us in the right direction.
Oh, I didn't say it was hard. I said it was easy. It's simple. It's not easy, right? It's simple. It's what's the story am I telling? Who am I thinking I'm going to be letting down? What were the expectations? All these different things go through your head compared to, especially if you're in business, this is what's expected of you. This is what's expected of me for me to support you in this, and this, and this, and for you to do this, and this, and this. And then if this doesn't work, then we have to part ways. If you don't have that in the beginning, then you need to sit down and have a conversation and renegotiate your contract with that employee, or the employee renegotiating the contract with their employer going, you told me this was going to happen. It's not happening. I'd like to revisit this, or whatever the case may be. But if you're in that kind of culture where they don't care, then you have to make that decision of leaving. I mean, I have it with my own wife. She is a particular sequence that we found that kind of reserved, and she wasn't expressing her brilliance. And as she started doing that, she realized that there was more opportunities and other people. She left her job, and she would have never, after like 9 years being there, but she left it and went to another company, and it was a higher level for her, but the company, it was not what she thought it was, and she left and had another company. And she kept on going until she found the right culture, dealing with corporate, right culture, and she's making more money than she's ever had, and she's at a position where she's never been because she started to express herself and starting to respect who she was and the value that she brought. So it's, if you can't move up on that company, people just stay and are miserable because they're too fearful of just detaching and going someplace else and trying something new, because where they're at is what they are used to. That's the known compared to the unknown, right? So it's usually what happens, and people are just now miserable all their lives because of based of a fear that is more painful to move than stay where they're at.
That is a very strong fear. I think we've all kind of experienced that. I want to get back to your earlier, we're talking about managing versus measuring. And I find that a really intriguing idea. And I think we are in a world where people feel they need to manage versus kind of letting people, as you're saying, do the job and show that they can do the job and ask for help and guidance if they need it. And if it turns out this isn't a good fit, then find another opportunity. It's all kind of swirled together with that fear for the individual, fear for the manager. I'm so curious about measuring, not managing. That doesn't feel like what most companies are doing.
No, they're micromanaging and doing this or doing that, or you have this goal, but did they not give you to help you that way? Or did they shift, or did they, something happen and now they're blaming you, which you had nothing to do with, it was the company. So you have to make sure that the way you measure somebody is based on what they're doing, not what the company did, and they couldn't do it because your own other staff or your other people couldn't get that done.
And as you were saying that, the word that popped into my mind was trust. That the relationship has to be built on trust. And a quick story, which is I was in a corporate role. I was told, here are the things you need to do to get promoted. I did all of them and I was not promoted. I met all of the metrics. I went above the metrics in some. And one of the things I was told was, well, we gave you this metric and you met it, you didn't exceed it.
Yeah.
And it's,
I've
well,
heard that before.
then my goal should have been whatever the exceeding was, because I was working towards these goals, and I lost trust in that manager and in that company. I felt I'm not being respected.
Here's some stories I've heard from sales professionals. They've exceeded, like blown out the top part of it, and their compensation was dropped because they were too good.
Oh, that's a recipe for building trust? Sure.
And when I first heard that, I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me you made them more money, but because you made them more money, they didn't want to pay you more? Yeah, I'm like, I was like, well, maybe it was just that person. Then I heard it a couple of times from other couple of clients who were sales professionals. I was like, that makes no sense to me at all. So, but I proved myself that I can kill it. Let me go find a company that will respect and value who I am. Or do I create my own company and start my own business, which has helped, that has happened many a time. We've had clients who were in career that we helped bring over to start their own business and to help eradicate the fear of them moving over in that end of it, or moving a client to a higher position, leaving their company and going to someplace else based on that story they were telling themselves, whether it was their mom, their dad, their siblings, that you're not good enough and all this other good. Is it really you? Is it really them talking through you? And a lot of times it's the people that quote unquote love you, or the ones that, you grew up with, because they're projecting their fears upon you.
Hmm.
And you don't realize that, oh, I would never do that. Or, when are you going to get a real job? When you work with a lot of solopreneurs, and they're just getting there, making it, they're up and down, and they hear that all the time. When are you going to get a real job? Well, I have a job and I love it, and it's not work, and I'm moving forward, and this is going to happen. This is because people don't realize the life of an entrepreneur, how hard it is. I mean, what you have to do and the hours you got to put in. People don't realize that. And that's why a lot of people don't do that, and they are stuck in a dead end job.
Yes. And they're stuck in companies that seem to be acting against their own best interest in the way they treat employees.
Absolutely. And that's a lot of corporate,
Yeah,
especially doing international, if you have an international company, right? So there's different cultures and different expectations and different way they look at it, and the US versus somebody else, it all depends on who you're working for.
it is. And I think for some, it feels like extra work to pay attention to the human side of the equation.
Oh yeah, because they may be they're emotionally in debt, but that, they just are not trained that way. They don't know what to do. So they're just doing what they were taught, what works for them. And, one of the techniques we do is we teach managers of how to understand their employees and know exactly how to support them in the way the employee needs to be supported, not in the way they need to be supported, that's how they're really managing somebody is, well, this works for me, so I'm just going to do it for this person, and it doesn't work. And now they're yelling or mad at the person because they're not getting it and they're not speaking their language. But, it all depends because there's different people that work differently, think differently, they learn differently. And if you're not really open to learning that, then you're going to get the results that you get.
Yes. The more I learn about business, communication, compassion, all of these things, the more I'm not at all surprised at how often we misunderstand each other. I am more surprised than ever that we ever communicate effectively with each other, given how we're all coming from different places and hearing different things.
Absolutely. It's just experience, right? The more you're in there, the more you know what to do, or you need to get out and read books or take courses or things like that to help you through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Phil, we're getting close to the end of the time. I'd like to ask you, as we wrap up, what is giving you hope these days?
I hired a great CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. This year is going to be phenomenal because everything's set. We have a group coaching course that we guarantee, and with a money back guarantee, it works great. It's been working very, very well. Have workshops that we go into different corporations and companies to work with, and just created a membership. So everything's ready. It's took years and years to develop because I discovered something no one else has. So it's been a learning experience over the last 30 years creating what I've created, and excited to use this to impact the millions that we know we're going to do. So it's just sitting back and tweaking our publicity as well as our marketing to show people what we have, that it's something totally different, and how it can help them if they choose to embark.
Yes, that is very helpful. And it's the perfect lead in to my final question to you, which is, can you please tell us a little bit about what you do and how you help people?
Yeah, I'm a self-sabotage specialist, a business consultant, international speaker, and a best-selling author. And we work with majority of people, but in our group coaching, we work with business owners, executives, entrepreneurs, and sales professionals to help them to uncover a hidden trait that we're all born with. And we call it the inborn sabotaging trait. It doesn't undermine us, but it actually protects us from the very success that we seek, because that success is subconsciously more painful to sustain and to achieve. So we go back doing what we're doing over and over again. So when it's basically the sole trait that stops our success. And when I first found it, I thought it was too simple. So I went out to try to disprove it because my reputation is very important to me. And over the 30 years researching thousands and thousands of people and working with them, I found a way to switch off that trait instantly, and it works 100% of the time. So when people use what we call the T now method, T standing for transcend, you're able to, it's impossible to self-sabotage yourself, and helps you to transcend any adversity, no matter how big or small. And so that's what we do. And then in our membership, we help different other people, from children to parents to teachers to whomever, are looking to discover what this trait is and how to help them in their health, their wealth, and in their personal lives. So that's basically what I do and what I found.
That is really important work. So thank you for doing that. And what is the best way for folks to get in touch with you if they want to learn more?
They can go to the tnowmethod.com, the tnowmethod.com, and it gives opportunity to look at our membership. Or if you're a business owner, executive, sales professional looking to have more one-on-one with me with our group coaching, they can go to the tnowmasterclass.com. That's tnowmasterclass.com. It's a 12-minute video, and gives them an opportunity to make a discovery call with us to determine if they're a candidate for any of our programs. We don't sell anybody that day. You can't buy anything from us that day. We want to make sure you're a candidate. And if you are, great. If not, then we part as friends and we move on.
Excellent. I will put links to that in the show notes to make it easier for folks to get in touch with you. And Phil, thank you so much. It's been so lovely chatting with you today.
Oh, it was great. Thank you so much, Manya. Manya, this is interesting, a very different type of interview. So I commend you. It was great. It was intriguing, and I had a blast.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. I'm Manya Chilinsky. I help organizations build compassionate, resilient teams that thrive by creating environments where well-being is at the core. Often people reach out to me during times of crisis or significant change, but the truth is that building a healthier, more supportive workplace can prevent issues before they arise and empower your teams to thrive no matter what challenges come their way. If you're ready to make a meaningful change, I'd love to connect. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on Apple Podcast or your listening platform of choice. It really helps others find us. And if you'd like to continue the conversation, connect with me on LinkedIn or visit my website, www.manyachilinsky.com. Thank you for being part of this journey with me.